Hey, and welcome back to the first episode of Common Sense with Adam, where we're talking about money. Yep. And why are we talking about money? Well, I think it boils down to that, I heard this pastor one time say, and really stuck with me for all of these years. I mean, it has to have been a good 15 years ago, that you always got to be knowing where your money's going. So I hope that sticks with you too. So why is that important? Why does this matter? It's because how we spend our money is a direct reflection of who we are, of our hobbies, of our activities, of our needs and wants, desires, our indulgences, if you will. So it reveals like what we're about, really. And it certainly says a lot about our priorities. Because I think if you were to take a peek at my spending or ROI at yours, we would very quickly discover who we truly are. Where our money flows is really what we're interested in, is really what we're about. So that is why it is so important to always be knowing where your money is going. So in this first episode, I want to talk about a fix and flip from earlier this year. And let me back up a little bit. My family and I moved here to the East Coast from Southern California about 4 years ago now. And about a year later, I got my real estate license. I've always been interested in dabbling and flipping real estate. I just knew that eventually that would be the direction that I go, but I never really did much with it. Most people will flip through their social medias and update it 1,000 times, but I literally find myself doing it for real estate. Bizarre, I know, but I actually find it kind of interesting. I look at histories of what people bought it for, what they sold it for, how long in between, and maybe even the prior sale, and sort of pay attention to that. I just always found that interesting. And that's when I knew I needed to find a way to sort of break through into the real estate game. And I did about, like I said, 3 years ago now, and it's been really fun. It's been really fun buying, flipping real estate. Some of it holding. Holding's less fun in my opinion. Potentially, it's a make sense money move for most people. For me, this is truly I do it for fun. And fix and flips have been exactly that. So today we're going to look at a flip from earlier this year. This one is relatively successful. And in the next few episodes, we'll look at ones I'm less proud of. But at the end of the day, I think how this might be different from what you've encountered in the past is I'm a real penny cruncher, I think is the word. I literally count to a penny anything that I spend on a property. And anytime I watch an episode or even fixer-uppers on the HTTV and others, there are costs that I know are involved that they're not including. And just to name a few, just the closing cost of the purchase on the property. They always talk about the sale and the real estate commissions for buyer-seller side, but never really the purchase side of it. And there's always closing costs involved. 5 to 10 grand easy. So that's never included. And something smaller is going to be like property taxes, homeowners insurance that obviously exists while you own the property, the carrying costs. Utilities is another sort of, I've never seen that included on anybody's sort of spreadsheet or breakdown for expenses. And I just pay attention to how the money is spent, and I keep a close tally so that then at the end of the day, I'm not deceived. The numbers will always paint a clear picture. I never guesstimate. I don't sort of leave it to memory. If I have an expense, it gets logged immediately. So the property we're going to be looking at today ended up being a net 44% return on investment. So that's like if you gave me $1, 90 days later, I could give you $1.44. Or maybe to make it a little more interesting, if you gave me 100 grand, in 90 days, I made that 144, or I think even more interesting, $1 million turned into almost 5. So again, as the numbers grow, it's a lot more exciting. But at the end of the day, I think the percentage is a good way to look at it. And this is a healthy one. Again, we're going to be looking at some not as healthy ones in the future. I want us to look at sort of the before and after pictures of the listing. So you have a clearer idea of what it is that was actually done to the property. Let's jump in. So for me, when I'm looking to buy something, I don't like to take on huge sort of or rundown properties that just need a lot of work. I'm all about, especially for the exterior where the expenses add up very quickly, all about the minimal stuff. So like when I bought this, I actually love that it has vinyl siding to where like you just paint this puppy any color and it looks good. The stone is something, this is the first time I dabbled with stone, and I think it actually turned out pretty great just to paint it over. So here again is the before pictures. As you can see, all we really did is paint the thing. So this is the entry. This is the angle of this. So as you can see, we just threw in an electric fireplace up against this wall and shiplapped it. Then the stairs, again, relatively minor. We'll just change these balusters into metal ones. The kitchen was pretty bad, so let's look at this angle. So essentially we just took out this wall just to give it some breathing room, and of course gave it brand new cabinets. I mean, most people just get real excited about it. You know, new kitchen, new floors, quite frankly, new everything, but again, not spending the top dollar. Here is our sort of family room, as I'll call it. So fireplace stayed, shiplapped the back wall. Well, fireplace removed, but the brick stayed and just literally painted over. This bathroom, again, all the bathrooms had a complete makeover. So this versus this, and the bathroom was pretty hideous. But at the end of the day, this is actually a really, really small expense. I mean, vanity is about, $300-400. The faucet, $50, give or take. Lights about $50 to $100. Mirror, $75-ish. Toilets, about $130. So this is a relatively cheap remodel here, as you can see. Okay, and here's the master bathroom. Again, everything needed to be gutted, thrown out. But I think the biggest transformation was in this wall. Like, we needed the space to feel bigger, so we just removed this wall, and the bathroom ended up feeling really, really good. Spacey, but didn't feel empty in any way. It felt really, really good. And this is the other bathroom. Again, this was pretty hideous, just hideous condition. But at the end of the day, everything gets thrown into the dumpster and given a new everything. And as it pertains to bedrooms, it's a pretty small transformation. I mean, everything just painted through, and the floors, we actually took it back to carpet because, again, cheaper, people love new. And then last but not least, the very back is that. And here is our back. Small modification. The complication I talked about for the kitchen was sort of right here in the back where we were dealing with this add-on, because this was an add-on by previous owners. I guess they wanted the kitchen to feel bigger, but at the end of the day, it made the space a little awkward, so we essentially had to get rid of it. So that's pretty much the before and after tour. And by the way, AC units, I didn't replace. The roof, I didn't replace. Exterior material, I did not replace. I'm just, again, when I go to find a rehab, I ultimately want one that needs mostly sort of cosmetic type work, and interior I find to be a lot cheaper. As soon as you touch the exterior, it adds up very, very quickly. That's sort of the before and after, so you can see what we were getting ourselves into. And I ended up buying the property, so it was listed for $309, and I just gave it a $250 cash offer. Actually, I gave it a $240, just to give some background, $240 cash offer, to which they came back at $275, and I bumped it to $250, saying that is the absolute ceiling, and they took it, and I'm glad that they did. Because at the end of the day, $250 was the purchase price, and then we ended up listing it for $429 and sold it for $440. All right, so let's look at the expense report now. As you can see, the total purchase price, including closing costs, was $252,000. The remodel itself was material and labor included. Everything is $47,768. So as you can see, I even start with trash bags to a penny. I mean, that's how closely I pay attention to every sort of dollar coming in. Roof did need some work, so $1,100 was spent on the roof. And then as you can see, my water bills and I mean, again, here's the breakdown of every penny that including the listing photos for when we went to sell it. So again, a close tally of every single penny during these 90 days. So again, the sale price was $440. The total money spent or used is that $300,000. So this is the $47,000 that the remodel cost, plus the $252,000. So it ended up being a round number, actually, $300,000. The gross profit ended up being $139,000. So, and then I add the commission for when I bought this. So I truly keep a tally of every expense. But then I subtract the selling commission and I waive my commission as a seller or listing agent commission. I did have to pay my firm $2,700 for it. So at the end of the day, the net profit was $132,000, which again is a 44% return on investment. At the end of the day, this was a 90-day run, so I say it's worth it. I mean, as long as the goal for me is to hit that $100,000 per house, and ideally in that 90-day period to where at the end of the day it all sort of makes sense and I want to do it again. Anyhow, I hope you find that helpful as you approach a project. Again, this is a more successful one. I will look at one where we made a lot less money, never quite took a loss, although it's possible. But again, I'm someone who I buy slowly, I buy really carefully, and I'm only interested in buying if the opportunity of at least $100,000 is on the line, and if it's not, I just have to pass. So I hope you could take something from this and be encouraged, I think, to potentially try it out. Feel free to let me know how you think about that or how you feel about that, and thanks for tuning in today, and I will talk to you in the next one. Oh, there's my baby girl.